Well, it's Patriot League Media Day for basketball, so that is right around the corner. And who better to start with than one of the co-captains for the Lafayette Leopards, and that is Seth Hinrichs. And Seth, coming from Minnesota again, we're starting to get into the chilly weather, but I'm sure you're starting to get into the basketball frame of mind.
Yeah, I mean, preseason's been going pretty well. The guys have been working hard day in and day out of practice. I think our team's really developed, and it's helped with the extra couple weeks that they added this year that we can get the freshmen acclimated and caught up to the plan that we try to do at Lafayette. And I think it's benefited our program and our basketball team, and I think we've advanced pretty well thus far in the preseason.
I don't want to discuss a negative, but certainly the absence of Tony Johnson has to have a huge effect on your basketball team. Talk a little bit about that hole right now when you run the offense and play some defense.
I mean, obviously it's going to be tough to replace Tony, his shot-making ability, and his ability to take over the games, but I think we've worked this so far to try and fill the void that was left. Obviously, it's a huge void, but I think we have guys capable of filling the void this year and guys that'll step up, and I'm pretty confident in our team.
What responsibility do you take as a co-captain along with Jack Detmer to get this team ready and ready to play?
We just have to be mentally prepared every day. We got to get the guys going. If we notice something off about one of the practices, we gotta have to bring the energy every day and make sure the guys know it's going to be a long season, but it's going to be worth it if we keep working hard every day, and hopefully we can make it to the championship.
We certainly bring back a number of great shooters, you being certainly one of those. Has that been the case so far early in the season? Guys are really knocking it down?
Yeah, Bryce and Joy have been really shooting it really well. Zach Roofer's been shooting it well. And, I mean, we have a lot of good shooters on the team, so what we're going to have to work on this year is just finding a balance between getting open shots and also feeding inside to the post to Dan, Allen, Nate, all the big men.
This guy knows how to play the game both mentally and physically. We certainly look forward to a great year out of Seth Hinrichs. Well, I talked to Seth, and he seems pumped and ready to go. Now I have to talk to the oldest coach in the Patriot League, the longest tenured coach, and just 4 wins away, by the way, from being the winningest coach in the Patriot League. So that either means you're really successful or indeed really old.
Well, let's just say I'm really successful. If I have a say in this?
Well, obviously you had no say in letting a couple of these teams into the league. Here was a year where you finally get rid of C.J. McCollum, you finally get rid of Mike Muscala, and you go and put a team in that's ranked number 11 in the mid-majors.
Yes, that was. They did not ask me on that, Gary. But obviously it's going to drive up the RPI of the league. It's an attractive addition, 2 attractive additions. 2 cities, Baltimore and BU, with the media that they bring and the attention they bring to the league, and I think it can only help our league.
Knowing you and knowing the independent schedule that you put together every year, I would assume that you really kind of like this challenge of having some new teams come in. I know it's been tough with everybody else in terms of the teams you had to play in the past, but you probably kind of relish a couple of new coaches, new teams.
Yeah, there's an excitement about that, And the other thing is it helps our scheduling. It's never easy scheduling out a league. Mm-hmm. We have to pick up. Before it was 14 games. Now mm-hmm. It's only 10 games. So that certainly helps from a scheduling standpoint. Other than that, it would have been nice if they weren't as good coming into the league right now. But it is what it is,
Fran, 4 starters back if we count Joey Tazinski, but I get a sense there's like a hole left with almost a couple of positions when you take Tony Johnson out of the mix. So how has the adaptation been early so far without Tony?
Well, and I don't want to – we can't sleep on Levi. Levi was our leading shot blocker, one of the leading shot blockers in the history of our program. That's a big loss as well. But Tony – he was our quarterback. He brought so much to the table. He was a leader on the floor. He was very vocal in practice. He knew what we were doing. And if we watched the last 8 or 9 games, I don't know if anybody in the league in recent memory has had a better 8 or 9 game stretch, hitting game-winning shots and not missing really. I mean, distributing and defending. I mean, that was quite a run there. How's it going? It's hard to gauge that when we haven't played against any other teams. Mm-hmm. Practices have been going well for the most part. We've had, as every team does at this point, not as much continuity as we like because people get tweaked, different injuries. So you don't always get the full squad or the full complement of resistance. Mm-hmm. But I like how hard they're working, and I like that we're progressing, and I think the fact that we had an extra couple weeks to get ready for the season is going to help us in the long run.
Do you get a sense that some of the freshmen that you brought in will be playing almost immediately? And how do you feel as if you'll fill the Tony Johnson hole, and who will you do it with?
Well, that's going to be the next couple of weeks is going to determine a lot of that, and the next couple months probably. For us, we have three guys I believe that could play the point guard right now, and that is Bryce Scott, Zach Rufer, and Nick Lindner. Now, Bryce is not a true point, but I think he can swing over there at times. How is it going to play out over the next couple of weeks, and what's our best opportunity? And as you said earlier, we probably have 7 guys right now that are potential starters. And we have a couple freshmen. Nick Lindner's going to be one. The other 2 freshmen right now are a little bit behind, which is to be expected. I mean, it's not easy coming and adjusting to the academic rigors. One of them, Monty Boykins, has just been practicing for a week. He came off ACL surgery. And then the kid Michael Hoffman is just learning our system. So as we look at the past, the last couple of years, someone like Bryce Scott did not play as often early, and Zach Rufer, but as they got to January, they got more minutes. So there are things that could happen. It all depends on how we do out of league.
As you had an opportunity to spend a little time with all the other coaches in the league today, how do you get a sense the league will be this season, and how do you think the Leopards will do in the league?
Well, I do think that BU, returning all your starters, and it was a very good basketball team they had. They went to a postseason, I think the CTI tournament. Obviously, you got to rate them as a preseason favorite. But now you bring in Loyola, who has Dylan Cormier. Everybody tells me about him as probably the best player in the MAC, and now he's coming into the Patriot League, where we lose CJ and Mike Muscala and Tony. So he possibly could be one of the better players in this league as well. But I really do think there's parity, and I'm not. I think that everybody is returning some very good players. Some people are going to get opportunities that they did not have before. For example, Bucknell. We recruited a number of those guys that they did not get on the floor as early because of the strength of their teams, but we lost to Bucknell on a number of those recruits. I know how good they are. Lehigh is the same thing. I really do think that it could be 10 teams, and I know that sounds like I'm being very political, but it's not. I really believe that.
And I agree with you, Fran. I think there's so much balance in the league this year that every night is going to be a tough night, but also maybe a very rewarding one. One final question. You start very soon, November 8th. You're going back home to Villanova. I'm sure they'll treat you kindly.
Yeah, I've already been getting calls from some of my friends and former teammates and saying what they're going to do to us. And so I'm ready for a warm welcome when I get down there.
Well, we are ready for the season to begin, and it starts for us in the Robert Morris game, which follows the Villanova game on the schedule. Always a pleasure to talk to head coach Fran O'Hanlon on GoLeopards.com. Basketball season right around the corner.